Mobo. Isn't that a bad word? Hey, Mobos! What's up? It sounds bad. Sounds like it should be bad. But I'm good. You good? Are we all good? For another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Thank you for joining us. We posted it with a slight schedule. We'll see how this time slot does for everybody. There is no perfect time. But thank you for tuning in, either live or not so live. The Discord chat is behind me. You are more than welcome to join. It's easy to do. Either become a sub of mine on Twitch. Head over to twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. Link is in the video description. Become a sub. You may even become a sub for free if you have your Amazon Prime account connected to your Twitch account. And then after you become a sub of mine, make sure your Discord account is connected to your Twitch account, and then you should see the chat room show up in your Discord settings, specifically under integrations. You could also become a patron of mine. Head over to patreon.com/Chris Pirillo and become a patron. You'll also get access to the Discord chat room open 24/7. These Mobos are talking geek stuff all the time. And earlier they were bragging about the kind of food they ate. I mean, it's a chat room. It's the cantina, the Chris Pirillo Cantina, open 24/7. I'm here with an AMA every day to answer your questions, whatever questions you care to lob at me. We already have the live chat going on YouTube, and if you want your question to be elevated above whatever everybody else is saying, then all you got to do is just post a super chat. That's what they call it on YouTube, a super chat. You would be a super supporter if you throw a super chat my direction. The beginning of these videos sometimes takes a bit to get through, the administrivia, and we also have to wait for people to tune in live, because we have to wait for them to receive the notification that they may be getting on their mobile device. If you turned on notifications, hopefully you did, not just for this channel, but the other one. YouTube.com/Chris Pirillo is right over there. It's over my shoulder. Can you see it? No, because it's not physically present. You have to actually click a link or go to that channel. I've already posted today's video, that being on the topic of Microsoft Windows Mobile, or whatever the hell they're calling it right now, or we're calling it, is dead. Windows Mobile no longer exists. I talked about that at length in today's video, so after you're done watching TLDR, make sure you watch that. And then the day before that, yesterday, I posted a video that was also about a topic that I happen to find fascinating. So we're constantly posting new videos every day, deep dives into topics in the other channel. This channel is primarily reserved for long-form live streams, AMAs with you and me. We've got our first super chat from a supporter, Christopher Drawn. He's adding just a couple of dollars to the Pixel Fund. I gotta tell you, I've probably paid off 1/5 of the Pixel now. It's going to be a very expensive month for me, but it's all going back to you in the form of content, being able to better answer your questions. I did want to begin by addressing a question that came in before the live stream. Furaxis, I'm going to go with that as a pronunciation, asked, what made you decide to bring back TLDR and the other tech-related content back to YouTube? I know you've done it for other platforms. I'm liking this old Chris Pirillo, for the lack of a better term. Well, you need to listen to the podcast, because I talk specifically about this at length. If you are interested in the backstory, listen to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. I'm definitely in iTunes, as well as the other popular ones. If I'm not in your favorite podcast client, search for Chris Pirillo. You should find me. Spell my name correctly. If I'm not, I got to submit the feed to that platform, so let me know, and I will make it so. You could also download Anchor on iOS or Android. It's free. Anchor.fm/Chris Pirillo is my profile, so you get to hear the podcast in a dedicated client that also has the interactivity for call-ins and what have you. This cursor is cursing me right here. This cursor. Now, I'm not pointing at Tony or Vicky. I'm just the floating cursor. I keep hitting escape, and it keeps coming back, and there's no way you can read that. There's absolutely zero chance you could probably even see it. Wow, that's a lot of questions there all at once, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. Tony asked a series of 4 questions, and there they go. I knew it. I missed all those questions. Well, that was fun. Hang on. Wasn't expecting to trot over here, which is less of a trot, more of a saunter, to grab my not-so-pocket computer, flip it open. I'm not flipping out, I'm flipping open. There's a difference. I've got to be careful, though. I don't want to stay connected too much, because the problem is my bandwidth is extremely tapped, so I got to make sure everything is not working as I expect it to work, normally connected. I'm now disconnected from the the system that I need to be disconnected from. Not a big deal. I'm going to answer Tony's questions. Whew, except it's failed to get the image. Great. Okay, question 508. Do you think Google will expand its Pixel brand to desktop PC level computing, or are they limited to with only having Chrome OS? I think they're going to continue to expand. I think Fuchsia is the future for Google's platforms. Fuchsia. And if you haven't heard much about Fuchsia, first of all, you should spell it correctly. Second of all, just search for it in relation to Google and Android and what they're working on. It's pretty much in baking stages, but I would expect that within the next few years, it effectively becomes one of the primary platforms for Google to use and to rebuild upon. For all the reasons that Google needs to do something like this to move the ball forward effectively and have a true platform strategy. I would be shocked that if I were to discover that Google was not working on some kind of video editing tool, specifically optimized maybe for Chrome OS, maybe for Android, it ain't going to be super powerful. But if they were to do something like that, like hardcore Pro Tools, I think they would see a lot more adoption of either Chrome OS or potentially Fuchsia, whatever that's going to be called, in the coming years, or Android even to a certain degree, if it can handle it. Because you need Pro Tools. I need Pro Tools. I'm not a pro, but I need Pro Tools. There's zero doubt in my mind. That would be a great help. Because one of the things that would keep me tethered to Mac OS is specifically Final Cut Pro. I use it when I need to edit video. I mean, there are ample video editing tools, and I know some people think Adobe is the end-all be-all. Adobe's kind of like, whoa, that's more than I needed, man. I just need to do something simple, man. That's a lot. That's like what they call overkill. So I'm not necessarily a fan of the interfaces outright. Some people are, and I am not going to slag them for feeling that way. It's just it's too complex for me, and I don't like complex tools. Question 509: Do you see Kylo Ren ever deflecting to the light side of the Force, or becoming one of the good guys? I think that would make an amazing arc for Kylo, but I think that may be a little predictable. I don't know if I want to see that. In fact, I'd be happier with Rey's arc if, as we see her in Episode 9, basically defecting to the dark side, or effectively becoming a gray Jedi, which Luke may very well be in the next film, The Last Jedi. Tonight, the trailer drops. I'll be doing a reaction for that trailer in the Star Wars Radar YouTube channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Radar. Oh yeah, I've got way more than just one YouTube channel. Can't just stop at one. They're like potato chips YouTube channels. But that's dedicated just to Star Wars stuff, so that you don't, mix your chips and your dips. The Star Wars stuff over there. You can follow Star Wars Radar on Twitter if you're so inclined. At Star Wars Radar. It's got about 48,000 people who follow it. So don't you sit there and think that it's not very popular, because it is. So that's my answer to that. Question 510. Do you think you're not seeing much of a difference from the Apple TV 4K because it's streaming compressed quality? I guess it's streaming compressed quality rather than the uncompressed full version. After considering that you can only save 1080p, see 1080p on your Apple TV. Oh no, you can only save 1080p on your Apple TV and you can only stream 4K. Do you think maybe your bandwidth is a limiting factor of your show resolution? Have you tried comparing the difference with the 4K Blu-ray? I've played 4K Blu-rays, but honestly, I don't really see massive differences. That's just my feeling. I don't know. I'm not necessarily willing to pay more. I'll pay for a Blu-ray if I am so inclined. Like, Star Wars, I'll get on Blu-ray. But that, unless it is about the only thing, unless a movie or a disc comes with a Lego minifigure exclusive, then I'll get it. But not for the Blu-ray, but for the exclusive Lego minifigure, just to show you where my priorities are. In fact, was this in the shot? It was. Did you even notice that? This little piece of cardboard was in the shot. I just noticed it right now. Man, what's up with these things like being in the shot all the time? Question 511. When a restaurant hires a new cook, the owner frequently has to check on the progress or taste of the food the cook prepares to make sure he or she is on the right course. Without such guidance, the resulting food will soon turn into an entirely different creation. Wouldn't that be the same for Apple? Is one visionary's ethos only sustainable while the visionary is still alive? Yeah. In fact, Bob Burrow posted basically a screenshot illustrating Steve Jobs' style of management versus Tim Cook's. And Steve Jobs was pretty much, he was the little dot at the top, and then it was there were like several lines, each connected with the top executives. That was Steve Jobs' style. Tim Cook's style is all the executives are connected with one another, and Tim's this independent dot way over here. And that seems to be why we get the things that we get out of Apple. Not going to, get into an argument about this because it's flat fact. This is how Tim manages Apple. And it shows. It does. That's not a good thing. Speaking of it shows, I've been posting LG V30 photo tests, comparing them against the iPhone 8 Plus on my Twitter feed. I posted one on Google Plus, but unfortunately, you post anything on Google Plus, I'm just going to warn you, the Android fans will come and beat you over the head. Like, and say, oh, this is the best. The Android, how dare you? Android's the best, and the LG V30 is amazing because it's Android. You're holding it wrong. That's been my experience with Google Plus from the very beginning. Jingoistic factions effectively, having blinders and believe that the world is only Google and Google alone, and Google is always awesome and perfect, and don't say anything else. That's it. So I posted, some raw photos, a couple. One ended up being an HDR shot, the other one not so much. But the LG V30, the photo capabilities of the LG V30 have yet to really impress. Even the front-facing camera itself, as I alluded to in yesterday's TLDR, not impressive. Low resolution, a lot of noise. I can't even use it as a front-facing video camera, at least. I haven't posted any front-facing selfie shots outright, and I guess I could. I'm not very photogenic. Like, hey, there's my face. Maybe I can convince my wife to do it, but then she would just not let me upload a photo that she felt was not representative of her, so that's not going to go anywhere. Suffice it to say, it seems the LG V30's got some strong points and some not so strong points. And I find that the white balance is usually really off, and most of the photos that I've taken usually have this kind of a green, yellow filter applied to them. And it's very bizarre. Moreover, I'm really frustrated with the LG camera app because it doesn't recognize multi-touch gestures. I know y'all are all like, bezels are horrible. They're bad. They're evil. Bezels suck. I like bezels for one reason. I don't accidentally touch the corner of the screen when I'm taking a photo or trying to take a photo. And that's what would happen all the time. It doesn't register, or it registers that extra touch point and doesn't let you take the picture until you hold the phone in such an awkward position that you're not possibly touching the screen. So again, it's not so much the LG hardware, it's the LG software that I think has got a little more polish that needs to be placed on it. Michael Tristan comes in with a second super chat. Some more support for that Pixel Fund. Thank you, Michael, and I'd assume Michael's behind us as well. Vicky asks, I have a question for Chris. Do you think that this activation problem with the Apple Watch Series 3 on Apple on the wireless carrier is on Apple or the wireless carriers? Oh, I didn't know there was an issue. Hubby thinks it's an Apple problem. Right now, my Series 3 LTE has no LTE and no idea when I'll have it. Ooh. I don't know either. I don't know enough about the problem, the scope of the problem, or what have you. My feeling would be turn to Twitter if you have not already and do a search for, let's say, Apple, Series 3 or whatever. Do variations on a search term and see if anybody else is having the same problem. And if so, what the resolution may have been, or just knowing that it is a systemic issue sometimes is just the beginning of discovering a solution. I don't know. It's anybody's guess, but I know that the Apple Watch software and the hardware are not quite working in harmony yet, and it may take another point revision for everything to get polished perfectly. This is, after all, Apple. It's modus operandi. That's just the way it is. Okay, for the first time turning to chat, let's see what we have here. Amir Nail? This is how I have to look at things, because my eyesight's horrible. I'm getting new prescriptions. Have I told you that? New glasses? Soon. Then I'll really look like Ty Lopez. Do I still need to have an iPhone to use the new Apple Watch? Yes, that's how Apple works. You have to have Apple this, Apple that, and Apple the other thing. Apple doesn't play nicely with other platforms. That's not its business model. Tony Yoon comes in with another super chat. Maybe being able to handle the bezel-less phone was part of the plan with the iPhone 10 notch. I gotta tell you, that would probably be a benefit. Nah, the problem is that the UI is still twisting around the shortcomings of the design of the hardware. It's abhorrent. Apparently abhorrent. That's my feeling. So yeah, that's what I feel, Tony. I don't know, the bezel-less thing. I'm just not. I think Apple will register multi-touch better than other manufacturers, but that is one thing that would concern me. Color me a fan of the bezel. We'll see how the Pixels handle the bezel on both ends, both the XL and the XL2, I should say, or the 2XL, and then the 2. Tony Yoon comes in with another super chat. Oh, he just did. Sorry, you just got a double shout out though. Jamar DeBoy asks a question. How do you get past the Anchor 5 minutes limit? Do you stop recording, hit done, and then continue? No, I basically told them, why are you doing this? And I record in the voice recorder app. Now, I will tell you, I forgot. I recorded a podcast and totally spaced on uploading it. People who watched it simulcast on my Twitch profile got a bonus because I forgot to upload it. I recorded a podcast on the V30. So I have to remember to upload that podcast tomorrow. I wish I could schedule podcast publishing too. There are so many things I wish Anchor did, but it doesn't. Anchor's great for the publishing portion of it, but I've been recording in the voice recording app. Dalton Wilds comes in with the next super chat. I have had every iPhone since the first and laughed watching the last Apple keynote. Google's headed in the right direction. Might trade my Note 8. I think Dalton, you and I are kind of in this camp. We are not alone. I feel that there are so many of us who are just feeling the same way about Apple as well as what Google is doing. And over, what I'm recognizing is that people are hungering for the software experience that used to be known with Apple, that we used to see with Apple. And we see Google chasing that. And at the same time that the reason we're turning to Google, say for the Pixel experience, I think a lot of Android diehards are kind of shunning Google, even being Android diehards, because they're trying to compare hardware to hardware or bezel to bezel-less or spec to spec. And they fail to recognize that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's the software! I'm telling you, I need to get that on a t-shirt, and when I say that, I'm not joking. When I'm saying that, apparently Twitch has got a beta, I can upload t-shirt designs. It has to be original art. I gotta find an artist who can help me make pixel art. And then I'll upload pixel art t-shirts that you can get on Amazon through the Twitch account. Does anybody know a good pixel artist? It's simple design, just pixel art. Like the coffee thing that Kelly Issaquah made, the little steaming coffee. Or we can make one that's a classic PC, or a smartphone, or I don't know, something fun. Can't violate copyright or anything like that. Like a little wizard, or like a warlock, or a griffin. Something fun but pixelated. Because that would be the series. It would be pixel art. Pirillo's pixel art t-shirts that I think anybody would buy. I'd wear them so long as they were soft. Anyway, so if you know a good pixel artist, let me know. Sorry. I said I should get that on a t-shirt. That's what led me down the path of letting you know I'm potentially looking for a good pixel artist. Many greetings from Germany, from a longtime viewer. I'm a longtime broadcaster. Hello from the United States. The hope, I would say, that I have for the industry, specifically those who might cover devices on a regular basis, is that they will eventually wake up and recognize what it is that we are laying down. And that is, the experience is what is important. It's not the fact that it has a better spec on paper. It's the fact that it just works better, period. End of story. Not to say that, it's irrelevant when you get a better camera or a faster processor. That's not necessarily the case. I'm just saying that it all boils down to a better experience or not. So I do plan on, in relation to the LG V30, experience has been hit or miss, specifically because of software implementation. Tomorrow, or maybe even Wednesday, I may do another live video in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel where it'll be like an LG V30. What do you want to know? Ask me anything specifically about the LG V30. So it's a hot topic right now. I want to answer as many questions as I can based upon my experience. I don't want to read from a spec sheet. Let's see here. Scrolling down and looking for the next question. Chason Somal asks, wrong question. Why don't you buy an iPhone 10 to try it out and then return it after 2 weeks if you don't like it? Because that's kind of cheating. I would never get something with the intention on turning it around outright. I don't think that's fair. That's, I know some people would do that, but it's just kind of, I don't know. It seems weird. It seems like I'd be cheating the system. And quite honestly, I've seen everything I need to see in the iPhone 10. If I discover that iOS magically gets better overnight, and they've somehow accommodated the inclusion to be far less of an eyesore, specifically with software and hardware, maybe. But honestly, it's iOS. After you look past the issues that I have with the design of the iPhone 10 hardware, then you start looking at potential other issues, right? Whether that's screen banding on the screen, I doubt that's going to happen because it's a Samsung screen, but it is an older one to my knowledge, a Samsung screen on the iPhone 10. And then you talk about iOS, and iOS is driving me nuts. I'm so, until Apple starts cleaning up their game, if and when they start cleaning up their game, I'm washing my hands of iOS. That's the thing that would really keep me from, I guess, really wanting the iPhone 10, the fact that it runs iOS. Whereas years ago, it would have been iOS that drove me to the phone, right? The iPhone, because iOS. But now I think Google's got magic in every way with AI plus software, plus hardware in the Pixel line of products. Zero doubt in my mind. KDBATM asks in chat, do you think iOS 12 is going to save us? No. Because I thought iOS 8 was going to save us, and it didn't. No, it didn't even come close to saving us. We can keep holding our breath, but then we'll all turn purple, and we'll faint, and we'll, knock our head, and, potentially get a black eye, and then we'll wake up with the same old iOS and a black eye. Which, as far as I'm concerned, iOS is a black eye. It gets better-ish. And yet, not really. Talked about that a little bit in the podcast today, specifically some new additions and newer betas that you've probably already caught up on. Ow! I got myself a bite or something, a little bump. Ow! You ever find on your skin, what is that bump? On the skin, it must have been agitated, like a little bite. Lysergic Casserole comes back, and I remember that username. It is unique. Expectations for the Galaxy S9 and the rumored Galaxy 10 foldable. Expectations. Nope, none whatsoever. Haven't tried the Note 8 yet, so I don't really know if I even like that in its software implementation. I'm not going to hold my breath. We'll see. I totally forgot, too. I thought the last Note I had was the 4. I totally forgot I had a Note 7 for a brief while until I had to send it back. I didn't mind. I didn't complain when I had to send it back. At least it didn't blow up on me. You know what I'm saying? So I did have the Note 7. That video's in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel. Totally forgot about that. Cuber Cubed, sub here in the Discord chat. Do you ever miss being on call for help? I missed, I guess I miss aspects of it, not I wish I could do that. No, honestly, I like kind of defining my own schedule and being able to work with y'all directly on things. This very much is as satisfying as that was, for a different reason. I think there's different recognition for doing something in mass media, but this is a far more intimate relationship that I have with y'all right now. So if you were to ask me which one I like more, this is it. You're watching what I do on a regular basis, whether it's live TLDR on this channel, the pre-recorded, single topic videos in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel, the podcast that I simulcast on Twitch or available in your podcast client, on down the line. Let's see here. Got a couple of questions here. Tony Yoon asks, Nilay Patel, the editor-in-chief of The Verge, said the iPhone OLED screen was the most beautiful OLED he's ever seen. Convinced? Hey, if Nilay says it, I always screw up his name. If he says it, I have the inclination to believe him. If he thinks it's the best one he's ever seen, that is an entirely possible thing. I no doubt about it. I even if I saw an amazing screen, because I've seen amazing screens in the past. Screen quality is important. Don't get me wrong, but it's not everything to me. It still runs iOS. R. Bassett Jr. Asks, have you watched The Orville? So you may have missed the earlier TLDRs. I know, I've done a lot. What is it, an hour and a half worth of Chris Pirillo every day? That's a lot of Chris Pirillo to take. I'm not even around myself that long every day. So, wow, it's amazing if you've kept up. I have watched The Orville. It is absolutely a must-watch. Zero doubt in my mind. Like, I really like it a lot. I'm just turning around as the chat goes because I don't want to miss any questions from the patrons and the subs over here. Again, it's easy to join. Y'all should do it. Like, there's some seriously, awesomely geeky conversations going on. We're growing by 2 or 3 a day, which I realize doesn't sound like a lot to you, but for me, I'm really happy with that growth. Really, really happy. I mean, it's nice to see supporters that are around 24/7. It reminds me of a better time in chat, unlike years ago where you just had to worry about everybody getting into chat. Hey, Chris, asked Chasen Somal again. I apologize for the name slaughter. Can you make a hands-on video of using the iPhone 10 in the store? I can't record in the store. I wouldn't have the rights. I don't think they'd want me to do that. But I will do an initial impressions. I don't know if the iPhone 10s are in stores right now. Are they? But I will. I'll go in and look. Okay, well, that's what it is, and you just can't get past this. And I just know. Dude, I can see things at a distance. It's nice. I get it. But I don't chase things that other people chase. Some people chase these bezel-less designs. I'm not a chaser of those bezel-less designs. I'm a chaser of good software experiences. Always have been. Always will be. XX026XX comes in with an X super chat. Thank you very much for the support. Chris, do you think the Pixel will have the same screen issues as the V30 since they're getting their phones from LG? It is possible. There may be screen banding issues that I've seen in the LG V30. Usually just prevalent when the intensity of the brightness is like under 30%. I don't know. I believe they're calibrated, at the factory at an individual level. I don't know if Google applies a different level of quality control than LG does. I just don't know enough. It is entirely possible. A reviewer from Android Police had noticed that on site, the Pixel 2 XL having that kind of issue in a similar type of circumstance. So it's possible. Would that dissuade me from using a Pixel 2 XL? Not necessarily. Again, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So do I like having more screen real estate? Do I have issues with the bezels in terms of holding? Does it seem to be a laggard in performance in certain respects? Are there certain issues I have on it versus the other Pixel? The rounded corners, do they seem to get in my way more than just blend into the background? These are things that I think are critical beyond the screen issue. I'm serious. I may end up just going with, despite it having a lower resolution, in screen real estate, I may end up going with a Pixel 2 as a driver over the Pixel 2 XL, despite wanting a higher resolution outright, because of the general usability that I might discover with the Pixel 2 XL. The rounded corners have me concerned, especially in relation to the lack of optimization in Google software as of yet. I may very well document it for them to address, but I don't know if Android was necessarily ready for the curved edges outright. Looks neat, looks nice and clean, on the surface, so to speak. But when you run into a software like layout thing, I'm just like, man, that's suboptimal. Maybe they'll improve it. I believe they would if it was pointed out to them. But if it's not something that's ready out of the gate, I'd be inclined to float to a Pixel 2, despite all its shortcomings. Oscar Forzani Fawcett comes in with the next super chat. Hi, Chris. Any plans of another trip to the UK soon? No immediate plans. That was a trip that was sponsored by British Airways. It was pretty awesome. That video is still in the old channel, the classic Chris Pirillo channel too. It's pretty neat. I know that. I'm not a fan of travel outright. It's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily chase it when I have an opportunity to travel. Some people love it. Me, not so much. Some people, are, completely different than me. That should go without saying, should it not? Some people think that I have to be like them, though, but I'm not. I know, it's a little odd for me to say that, too, because, what? You're not like me? Yeah, trust me, I'm not. Not even close. Like I said, I'm not even Ty Lopez. Thank you for talking about the veins on my arms. I guess I have veins on my arms, and there's a little bump here. It's like I think it was a bug bite or something. It's sore. Owie. Let's see, what else do we have? Scrolling up. What is the best buy, actually? Galaxy S8 or 8 Plus or iPhone 8, 8 Plus? Asks Jose Pedro Macedo Silva. What would I say? What's the best buy? It's relative. I don't know. What do you want? See, these are very, very difficult questions to answer sometimes. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that because, A, I couldn't answer it in 2 minutes or less. And B, it just depends on the things that you want or the things that you use. Oh, hang on. Oh, I missed that question. What? Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna scroll up. This is not normally something that I do. Fraxis asks, and you can tell he's a patron because he's orange there. What's plan B if you get your Pixel 2 and don't like it? Will you go back to your iPhone 8? You know, as my chair squeaks around, I will be so disappointed if I'm not able to do a Pixel 8. I'm sorry, Pixel 8. Pixel 8! Pixel 8? That's pretty funny. Pixel. If I have to, repeat the joke, it didn't work. Not even a joke. First, I would be shocked if I was disappointed with the Pixel 2. And the reason why is because I'm pretty impressed with the Nexus 6P experience. Even though it's definitely not perfect, it's somewhat slow in spots. You know, if forced to, it wouldn't be the best move I could make. But if I couldn't get an iPhone outright or couldn't use the iPhone and had to use the Nexus for a while, I would. It wouldn't be a great move. So knowing that I've enjoyed the Android experience, whether it was Nougat or Oreo, as it is right now on the Nexus 6P, knowing that I've enjoyed the experience on either one, or on this one specifically, I would be inclined to enjoy the experience on the Pixel 2. Seriously, the Pixel 2. I don't know what the resolution is on the 6P though. The overall, I gotta look it up, I guess. The 6P, I think, has a resolution closer to the 2XL, correct? I guess I gotta look up resolutions. New Year's resolutions. Towards the end of the year resolutions. So I don't know if I'd say that, make sure I scroll all the way back there, that plan B is necessarily a fallback to the Nexus. I guess I'd kind of suffer through. I don't know if it's like, well, if it's either the Pixel or nothing. I don't know if I'm necessarily on that path. I don't think it's a Pixel or a secondary Android experience, because to me that would just kind of be a lateral move. I'd still be giving up a lot in not having a pure Android experience. So I'm going into it with an understanding of what it is that I'm looking for, what it is that I've seen. So I would be surprised if it did not turn out to meet expectations, if not exceed them, potentially. I am heartened by seeing the responsiveness of an Android development team taking issue or taking my perceived issues with, at a distance, some software glitches and addressing them in bug reports. My hope would be to do the same thing effectively with what I perceive as shortcomings in those experiences, such that, is this working well enough? I think I'll know, as I've mentioned before, I believe, I should know within a week's time, I should say, that I'll be ready to, and potentially even sooner than that, ready to effectively switch. People thinking that I'd never do such a thing, but it's not without its pain points. And that's why I said I kind of want to give myself a week of trying this and then trying that. Which one do I like more? Which one am I more comfortable with? Which one do I turn to first? If both devices were sitting on the table, side by side, all things considered, which one am I picking up first to do something? Check Facebook. Which one do I pick up first? Send a message. Which one do I pick up first? Why? To do something. And that, to me, is every indicator. That tells me everything. So plan B is, there is no plan B. The plan B is to at that point, try to get the bugs patched if I perceive them as showstoppers. Or just potentially hope for the best. And kind of grin and bear it. Because otherwise it's a lateral move. Fred Gingras asks the next super chat question. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support. Do you think Chromebooks will ever get professional grade software like Illustrator or Premiere? Could they ever replace a full-fledged OS or a Pro? I referred to this, or alluded to this earlier in the broadcast, and you're making a perfect point for me, or a nice dovetail there. I think they will, but I think it's going to be a while before that happens. It may end up being a third party that could very well get acquired by Google, but I really think it needs to happen. I don't think it's going to be a web-based editor. I don't think the web is necessarily where that needs to happen. We've tried that in the past. Bandwidth's not amazing. It does, certain performance and graphics is not necessarily stellar. I think you need to see a native Android binary running on a Chromebook, which you can now do, with at least the newer Chromebooks. And then once they have that, then it's just effectively beefing up their photo editing suite. There was it Adobe InDesign or something? Adobe's got something that runs on Android, some photo tweaker. They were demonstrating it on the new Pixelbook. So I think that is certainly something that is going to be important to watch. I think it's going to be critical for Google to be taken seriously as a full-on classic computer replacement. Naughty Sauce, that's a funny username, says, I don't think he'll ever leave iOS. Well, like I said, I don't think I'll abandon it entirely, but, if I stop turning to it on a regular basis, apart from compatibility reasons, again, my behavior will literally say everything. And I'm like, others that are just kind of done with it. They're kind of completely fed up with it. So we're hoping for better. We're hoping for more. And I'm cautiously optimistic on that Pixel for the software experience. I'm so excited. I got to tell you, it's really everything I read about. I'm okay. And I'm really, even though I'm inclined to want to like the Pixel 2 XL more, I don't know if that's how it's going to be. I just don't know. Jamar DeBoy asks, how do you plan on using your new Pixelbook? What's your use case? My use case is simple, and I may, roam around the house with it, depending on what it is that I'm going to do. I have an iPad Pro. It would be the intention to replace the iPad Pro. I ended up getting the iPad Pro keyboard because I was planning on doing a lot of typing on it. I ended up not doing a lot of typing, or as much typing as I thought. I could do web browsing on it. Simple web browsing, simple networking stuff, social networking stuff. I guess for my current iPad use, it's watching Discord, which I can do on anything. It's web-based. Maybe listening to music, although that doesn't happen all that often. I don't know. I haven't heard much about the Pixelbook speakers outright. The iPad speakers are pretty decent. I don't really have a lot of games that I necessarily play on a regular basis. And most of everything else is easily attained largely by the web. The most apps I have installed from any vendor are Google's apps. So I don't have an extreme use case for it apart from being an iPad replacement for how I use the iPad anymore. And that's primarily sitting here and doing TLDR and watching chat if I'm watching chat, if it's connected. Just having the system in front of me, because I've got the notebook computer that's effectively driving the live stream. That computer's currently got the chat zoomed in. That's not its primary function, but it's certainly a part of it. Christian Daw asks, will you install Windows 10 on a Pixelbook? Can you? Well, I guess you could, but how? I don't want to dual boot. I don't want to put Windows on there. Someone might, but why? There's no reason to. Why? Because you can? That's not a good enough reason. No, definitely not a good enough reason. Jamar says he's in the same boat as me, too. So, I don't feel so alone. I don't know if I'd say one is more versatile than the other, or one is necessarily better than the other. I'm compelled with the use case that Google's laying down, and it seems that Google's nailed software as well as performance in the same price range as the iPad. Sure, it may not be as small and svelte, but I don't know, all that kind of melts away for me. That's how I've used it. And I am concerned about the wrist pads, because I don't know if they're plastic. I'm afraid they're going to get, gunked up or something like that. Because you got to watch out, because they're not metal, I don't think. It's just, these are concerns. It's not the perfect book, it's the Pixel book. I'm not necessarily a cheerleader for that kind of stuff. And Naughty Sauce comes in again and says, well, the more people like yourself don't sugarcoat all the issues Apple has with their products, they'll eventually listen once they lose some market share to Android. They've lost, I think, a lot of velocity to Android, but I'm not sure if that's what's going to keep people from getting new Apple products. It's not just to Android either. I think if Google's got the compelling experience as an alternative, or series of experiences as an alternative, I think that'll win people over. Not necessarily Android. It's just that iOS people have been upgrading on a perfunctory basis, this just kind of an automated, like, zombie, must upgrade to latest Apple product type of scenario. Eventually they'll break themselves of that when they see something that is potentially better. Just look at my last post and that'll give you a clue on Apple's priorities. Are you talking about Twitter? Man, I can't even retweet everybody anymore. My mentions are just littered with people who tweet me slop. I can't. You want to see all the time. Like, every time I look at my mentions, there's a similar type of slop, and I'm just like, I can't keep retweeting this stuff. I see it, and we know it's there, but beyond that, I gotta move on with life. I can't. Life's too short to talk about iOS all the time. Life's too short to talk about technology all the time. Krishna Punugu. Asked, Chris, are you going to build your own PC? You probably missed TLDR the other day, but I talked about that. So go back and watch all the other TLDRs, and you will absolutely have your answer. Now, not to shortchange you, but it's true. Watch the other TLDRs. Trust me, there's a treasure trove in every single video. So Jose comes back on the Galaxy S8 or 8 Plus versus the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. He said software experience is very different. Well, yeah, that's the thing. In terms of even the price, though, price is relative. I'd rather pay, $100 for a great product than $5 for a not so great product. So it's not about spending more or less money. It's about getting what it is that you want. It goes back to that every single time. And I did mention in the Google video that I did how Google can beat Apple, that no Google Plus user seemingly, Jamar may be the exception to the rule, read every one of their comments was just like, well, what do you mean? Google already beat Apple. I'm like, facepalm. Google does have a better sense of community engagement. Doesn't mean that they grok social right away, but they're generally more free with that compared to the way Apple's done things. And I wish that would change. I really do wish that would change. Hated Knight says, some people are Apple people, some are Android. I think Chris needs to stay with iOS. Well, okay, I'm glad you think that. It's a little weird. That's like we're sitting at a dinner table. I think you need to have the linguine, even if I can't say it. I think you need to have the linguine. I'll have what I'll have. I'll have what I want. I'll eat what I want, thank you very much. I'll do what I feel is best for me. But thank you for your concern. Oh, man. RKR Studio 1 says, holy crap, the OS wars are still going? Yeah, it's a tale as old as time. It's never going to end. Never. It's a battle that just never ends. Everyone's going to constantly jockey for position, which is why I don't ever want to get caught up in this stuff, which is why I don't always want to talk about this stuff. Emmer Nail comes in again with a question. In the future, will we have just one operating system worldwide? I see Apple trying to have a monopoly on the OS in mobile phones, desktops, vehicles, etc. No, I don't think we'll have one. I think that's a little frightening. It's always good to have competition. It's also good to have someone being able to check what's going on under the hood, so to speak. One reason why I appreciate Google's clopenness compared to Apple, but Apple's open sourced their foundations as well, so you can't necessarily slag Apple for not doing that, just not to the same degree as Google may have done that. I'm not sure if that's an extreme value, but I think it would be incredibly dangerous for us to see kind of what's happening right now in being forced to go through one company or another. That's kind of maddening. Some people have suggested that the death of the headphone jack is going to push us down the proprietary pipelines again. And I'm not sure if I see it the same way. I think that's a little too, the sky is falling. And everyone's going to have a different perspective on that. But, Bluetooth is just this the lowest common denominator. Not perfect. Getting better with Bluetooth 5. I would like to get a hold of some Bluetooth 5.0 headphones. It's been a while since I've been in the market for anything like that. But it's certainly a viable option. If you can't have something that you plug into. I think eventually we're going to be going portless. I really do believe that. We're not going to have these ports that we fiddle around with right now. They're going away. In fact, I think a lot of the way we deal with electricity is going to change over the next 10 years. 10 years from now, even, it's just iterative. It's not going to come overnight, but it's going to evolve over time. And I think that's how I feel. I know that's how I feel. I think that's the way it's going to be. Dave Trev asks, Chris, do you think Google will make the Pixel Buds iOS compatible? Wouldn't it be Google's best interest to get iOS users more dependent on their software? Is it, though? I think the Pixel Buds are just Bluetooth. So they should be cross-platform compatible. I thought. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But I didn't hear anything about them just being Pixel. I don't think anybody's going to buy the Pixel Buds specifically to use with the iPhone. There's nothing that's compelling about their design or their function, apart from having the Pixel brand. I'm not a use case for it. I don't like sticking things in my ear. They're very uncomfortable. Unless I hear great reviews like, no, it's best, it's awesome, it's comfortable. I'm like, I'm a big wearer, despite having glasses, wearer of cans. Princess Leia buns. Those are me. I like wearing things over my ears. Some people like, walking around with blinders on. I like walking around looking like Princess Leia. Game Dev 1909 comes in and says, no, you're right. Pixel Buds are Bluetooth and work on anything. At least that was my understanding. And yeah, it's in Google's best interest to pull people into the Google ecosystem, but you can. Let's see here. If I look at my iPad, see the app apps, including the ones that are installed by default, I have not quite as many Google apps as I do Apple apps, but I've got a lot of Google apps on my iPad. I could get rid of apps by switching to a Chrome OS as an alternative. But what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? It's a general question. I don't know. Everyone's going to do something differently. Jeffrey. God, I called you Joffrey the second time now. I did yesterday, too. I apologize. Are you looking forward to Google Skynet and T1000? Not necessarily. Not a fan of that outright. Yes, honey? You what, baby? Jedi, can you hear her? She's like thumping up the stairs. Jedi? Oh, maybe not. But could you hear her calling right now? Don't think I'm just like yelling into the ether. My daughter was like right there yelling up at me for one reason or another, potentially telling me that dinner was ready. Someone asked what I was having for dinner. I have no idea. Whatever Diana makes, it's awesome. I'm likely going to have quinoa that's been soaked in bean juice because we also have black beans. Hot sauce. I love Valentina, not the black bottle, not the black label, like red label or yellow label. What else is in there? Mushrooms very often. And it's a heaping serving. A spinach, I think, was made with garbanzo beans, which is great. And then all that just kind of mixed in together is kind of like that. This very hot little salad mixed with fats and carbohydrates and proteins. It's great. I have that for lunch and dinner at this point, apart from one-offs. Let's see here. Joshua Austin says the Adobe app you were thinking about in the Pixelbook was Lightroom. That was it. Thank you very much. In design, it was something else, but thank you for clarifying that. I did have Lightroom on the iPad, but I'm kind of like, why would I use that? I have Lightroom on the iPhone. I'm like, why would I use this? I don't have an Adobe subscription, though. I'm not an Adobe Power user. I'd be inclined to use Adobe software, I guess, on it if I found a use case for it. And I'll be working with Adobe again. We may very well have an announcement in relation to Adobe in just another day or so. Pez Liz could potentially back me up on this. When are we announcing that? Yes? Is this a new person? Hang on. Is this someone new in chat? A new sub? Do we have a new sub in chat? Welcome aboard. I haven't seen that handle yet. That's a new sub on Twitch. You can tell because they're purple. That's so nice. Bob Santinello. Bob Santaniello asks, any more plans for Dez? For Dez? With Dez? Possibly. He's going to be working with me on possibly getting a Note 8 review unit. I'd be happy to do just that. Just kind of waiting for a few more things to happen. I like doing the live streams with Dez. I really do. I like doing live streams with other people. I did reach out to Jerry again. I said, hey, I'm doing TLDR every weekday. Just let me know. If there's anybody else you think that I should be doing like a live hangout TLDR with, oh, cool. My new album is ready. I love that. Let's see what Google Photos did. Trip to Seattle. This was when we went to the BrickCon. So it effectively just, made it just made an album automatically. But I already made an album, so I don't need them to do that. I like the animation from video 4 years ago. I love Google Photos. I really do. It's not perfect necessarily, but I like it a lot. So if I go to Photos, oh, it's not made here yet. Hasn't uploaded yet. Oh, look, I got the notification. Ask me anything. I'll watch it later. Let's see here. That's just regular news. Just clear all. I guess I did. But I have, what I like about Google Photos is that, let's say I can go in here and select this video, this video, this video, what's that video, and then I go plus, and then I say movie. This is going to be our new vlogs. I told Diana how to do this, or I showed her how to do this, and then it effectively, just dynamically, creates this montage. It downloads everything, and then it creates a montage of all that footage, and you can go in, you can tweak, you can remove clips, you can add photos and whatever, and then it adds its own music, and then it effectively creates its own video. So right now it's downloading. It's not exactly the fastest connection here, but I'm just going to leave that sitting here, and I'll pick it up and show you what I'm talking about with Google Photos. It's one of the reasons why I really genuinely enjoy Google Photos. It's not perfect. Could definitely do a few more things better, but I definitely like it. Aaron Williams is back. Chris, I switched to a cloud Windows PC that's in the cloud called Simplay, where you can play any PC game at 60 frames per second on any device. It also offers full desktop with fast GPU. Oh, cool. Neat, I guess. I don't know if I would ever need that for any reason, but it's cool. I may ask you again, but I wouldn't even be willing to pay for something like that. You know, free, it may be worth it, but it's like, why? I don't game a lot. I don't play a lot of games. If I do, it's usually on a console or just like a pick up, put down. The Stranger Things pixel game. That's me, right? Mr. Retro. Let's see here. Scrolling back. Garank Falk asks, how does the V30's performance and software experience compare to your 6P? It's faster, certainly. It's jankier in spots. But either one, it's kind of it's a wash. But I'd say that the Nexus 6P is definitely a cleaner experience, a more cohesive experience than the LG V30. Maybe not as powerful, but I don't know. I find it just to be cleaner, simpler, and I appreciate that more so than having ultimate power with the LG V30. But I will again remind you that I'm going to be doing. I think tomorrow or Wednesday, a live stream around the evening time, possibly, in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel, the other one, basically doing an AMA specifically on the LG V30, because I know a lot of people are looking for that information, and I want to be able to provide them with the experience that I've had, beyond my initial impressions and answering questions for that, or even the unboxing that we did in this channel before then. RKR Studio says, lol, I always get, you can't game on a Mac when people find out I use a MacBook Pro. I work on the computer and play games on a console. I'd be lazy that way. Yeah, me too. I'm like, I don't ever game at a PC. It's not me. If I want to game, I want to relax. This is why I'm a horrible Twitch streamer. I'll be a horrible Battlefront 2 player on the YouTube channel for Star Wars Radar playing that. Because I don't know if I'm going to have my face in the screen, right up there like other people do. I'm laying back. I'm just like, I'm playing the game. I'm just relaxing, man. I don't want to get all, look at my face. No, let's play the game. I'll talk to you and everything as I'm playing, but that's about it. Michael Tristan says, Chris, I have OneDrive through my Office 365 subscription. Do you know if it lowers the quality of the pictures and videos while uploading? I don't know outright, Michael. You may want to check into that. I'd imagine not so much, but the only thing I'd be concerned about is if you lose your Office 365 subscription, if you also lose photos or you lose quality outright. I'm not slagging Office 365 or the OneDrive or whatever they're calling it these days. But I would definitely look into that. I don't know the answer to that outright. I don't have an extensive experience with that, personally. Tony Yoon comes in and says it does not, so I would assume Tony is correct. But of course, I'd always check those things. The Last Sith asks, do you think Tim Cook is too soft? Steve Jobs would have had his team work around the clock to fix defects. Tim seems more of a laid-back guy when it's good enough and the average audience won't care. I think Tim is not detail-oriented in that sense. I have talked as extensively as I can about Tim Cook and, if he needs to be replaced or if he needs to step down or if, he's the worst CEO ever. That video is already published to the Chris Pirillo channel, so I don't want to, hit that over and over and over and over again. But, I think it does come down to not having the right people in charge of the right things. And a management style that is just different. Not necessarily better, not necessarily worse. Just radically different. Jamar said, just subscribe to you on Twitch. How do I get into the info? How do I get into chat? Okay, so if you subscribe to me on Twitch, here's the thing. 1, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do the directions stem to stern, Jamar, not just because you're asking, but for everybody else's sake. Go to my Twitch profile, twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. It's easy to do. The link is in the video description. 2, in your Twitch settings, connect your Twitch account to your Discord account, okay? So that's important at this stage, potentially. If you don't have a Discord account, you can go to discordapp.com. I think that's the domain name, and sign up. So you connect your Twitch to your Discord. 3rd thing you do is you sub to me on Twitch, and it seems like you've done just that. You press the sub button, which is somewhere, sub at the top of the screen, because I'm a partner. And it may even tell you, hey, you can sub to an individual for free every month. If you have your Amazon Prime account connected to your Twitch account, it may be free. The thing you got to keep in mind with a free sub is that you may have to renew it manually every month, which means you'll get temporary access to the chat room. Because if you lose the sub to me, you'll lose access to the chat room. It's a great way to kind of control things. So one value in just being a regular sub versus an Amazon Prime free sub is knowing that you're not going to lose access. So then after you sub to me on Twitch and you've done all those things, within an hour's time, Discord will synchronize with the Twitch subs, and in your integrations panel on Discord, somewhere in your settings, I think they call it integrations on your user account or your user settings, you press the little gear icon next to your icon, your avatar, and you will see basically a link to where you can join the chat. It says, hey, you're now in Chris Pirillo's Cantina or hashtag Cantina. So it's really not that hard. I'm making it sound more difficult than it actually is. But that's effectively how you do it. After I explained it the other day, like 5 people joined, so I know that I have to kind of explain the process on a consistent basis so that other people are able to kind of handle it. But that's the best way to do it. So let's see here. How are we doing on time, folks? Doing pretty well. We got about 4 or 5 more minutes. No more super chats right now. But, any other questions, I'd be happy to respond to them. This is pretty much the last bit of content I'm doing today. As I mentioned, I already uploaded the podcast, which is now a couple days out of date. And I also already uploaded the individual Chris Pirillo video talking about Microsoft mobile experiences, which, they're not exactly, it is breaking news in the sense that Windows Mobile is pretty much dead. But I thought it'd be interesting to cover, if only because it pretty much is now official. Joe Belfiore says it pretty much is. Oh, Bill Vanderplug. You're absolutely right. I apologize. This is not the last bit of content I'm doing today. The Star Wars trailer drops tonight in the middle of a sports ball game. So I'm going to wait until it's up and online. And then potentially from this angle, what I'm going to do is live stream from the Star Wars Radar account my reaction to the trailer. Okay? So that's how I'm going to handle it. Ben's JT puts in another vote for please upload TLDR as a podcast too. Let me see if I can find an easy way of converting TLDR audio automatically to upload it individually to the patrons. If you are a patron of mine, that's the bonus is you get TLDR as a podcast. We'll see about doing it, but I got to find an easy way, a clean way, a simple way, a straightforward way of doing it. Because we have to get the video, we have to download the MP3, then we have to upload the MP3. It's not exactly push button simple. I'm into push button simple so that we don't forget. And then each particular patron of mine gets their own TLDR feed to subscribe to in their podcast client that I know of. You get your own individual feed. TLDR is an audio podcast, if you are so inclined. That will be a patron bonus. So you can do it all. I can give you many ways of experiencing Chris Pirillo. So maybe I think the link is in the video description, the Star Wars Radar account, youtube.com/Star Wars Radar. What time is it supposed to drop? We should probably do a countdown to a live reaction to the Last Jedi trailer for Star Wars Radar. We should totally do that, huh? I'm missing the questions on the screen, sorry. Silky Bob, Chris, any update on the Essential Phone review unit? They said they're sending one. I don't have a tracking number, but I'm kind of waiting because Essential did an AMA on Reddit, and they talk about updating and improving jank, updating and improving speed, updating for Oreo, and getting getting a public beta out for Oreo. So I almost want to kind of wait until all that gets pushed out over the air as an update to the Essential before I really kind of dive in. So I'm expecting the Essential is going to improve from my initial experience based upon the feedback that the Essentials team is given to the community. So stay tuned for that. Even my initial stuff, I think even my initial impression, I think, is going to certainly change. Certainly when Oreo comes down the pike, as well as them addressing jank that and screen lag that they are pointing out. So hopefully that will be the case. I apologize to any subs or patrons for not answering your questions. We're about to do our after party in the Discord chat. You know how to join us. I've already mentioned how. I'll be answering the questions there if I missed any, because chat kind of moves quickly. It's the only way I can kind of keep things going on both screens. But thank you for tuning in once again. Thank you for all your support. I love you. I appreciate you. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.